Have you ever felt like everything just hits you harder than it does other people? Like things that barely bother someone else doesn't even phase them. It sticks with you for hours or even days. You've probably told yourself that it's because you're too sensitive or you're not confident enough or you just need to love yourself more. And this is probably the messaging that you've gotten from other people. Yeah, those things play a part, but they're not the real reason why these things keep happening. In this video today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down what's actually going on and give you a few simple steps that you can start using today to stop taking things so personally and to let them just roll off your back. My name is Bianca, for those of you who don't know me, and I've been working as a therapist for over 5 years and have done over 5,000 therapy sessions with people just like you, helping them learn this exact skill. I'm also someone who was labeled as too sensitive and too much and dramatic and emotional from a really young age. And I had to learn these skills from myself, so I know that they work. So, the first major concept that we need to realize in why you're taking things so personally is you might have just been born that way. Some of us are born with a more sensitive temperament that causes us to feel things more deeply. And that actually isn't a bad thing. I know we have this concept that if you're sensitive, you're a weak person, but it just means you feel things more deeply than others, and that can actually be a really good thing if you can use it to your advantage and if you actually learned how to use it correctly. Like, think of artists and musicians. These are all really deeply feeling people, and the only reason they're able to create the amazing bodies of work that they do is because they're so deeply feeling. The real issue, the real problem that you're facing is that you were conditioned to stay sensitive because you were never taught how to develop resilience and emotional regulation. You never learned how to handle challenges better or how to trust yourself. Your upbringing was spent with people just trying to make you feel better rather than you being taught and them teaching you the skills to be more competent and resilient. And so when challenges happen or when things are said to you, it hits you right in the core belief that you developed, that I can't handle things. I'm not capable. And what they're saying is proving that. That's why it feels so bad. It's why you take things so personally. This is what causes you to have that sensitive emotional reaction you do of taking things personally. If you want to learn more about the psychology underneath these things and how to heal these core beliefs and emotional reactions, check out my free podcast. It's called Evolve Ventures. My co host and I, we break down these topics into really easy, understandable episodes every single week. So, what you actually need to do is learn how to develop these skills that were missed when you were growing up. You need to learn how to develop resilience and competence so that you can handle things and do things, and so that you can trust yourself. That's going to make you not take things so personally. It's going to actually help things roll off your back easier because you're not going to be afraid of other people's opinions, and they're not going to feel like an attack anymore, which is where that personal feeling really comes from. It feels like you're being attacked. You'll have the competence to understand that their point, they're making a point. They're trying to tell you something, and you'll be able to do something about it or reject their point or know if what they're thinking and feeling is true for you. So here's how we start. Number one, the first thing you need to know is emotion regulation. You need to learn to teach your body to pause and react before your brain kicks in and wants to start throwing hands. When our body and our emotions feel unsafe, we go into something called fight or flight mode. And this makes us either want to defend and protect ourselves, to run away from the situation, or to people please in order to feel safe. When I was younger, I went right into defend and attack mode to try to protect myself. And this caused me to have some pretty extreme reactions, like yelling and crying and getting into fights. And this happened because I thought I was going to get hurt. I thought I was going to be shamed, ridiculed, and my body just wanted to protect me from that harm. And so before reacting, what I learned to do, and the takeaway for you here in this step number one, is learning to walk away for a minute to give myself a break, taking some deep breaths, or even saying, I'm feeling kind of flooded right now. I need to pause before I go into react mode. Once your body is then in a calm state and that ninja warrior inside of you doesn't feel the need to start throwing hands and getting into a fight or running away, the next step, and this one is critical, is getting curious about why the person might be saying what they're saying. This isn't to assume everybody's right or has a valid point, but it gives you a chance to understand what the person is trying to say before the emotion and that pattern detection part of your brain starts to kick in and jumps to an assumption or a conclusion, which is then going to validate that negative core belief that we already talked about, that you're broken or you're defective or there's something wrong with you, which causes the negative reactions we're trying to get away from. So, asking yourself a very simple question like, what reason does this person have to say what they're saying or do what they're doing? Something simple like that allows you to get curious and activate the problem solving part of your brain, not that emotional side that just jumps into reaction, but the problem solving part of your brain, which will then help you to stay in the conversation and not be triggered by what is said so personally. Once you're able to do that, you're in a calm state and you're then able to get curious. The last thing that you have to do and that you can do if you choose is ask yourself this final question. And this one is the hard one, okay? Is there any truth to this? And if so, how can I use it to help me? This is a really, really hard question to answer because it kind of forces you to have to think. It forces you to have to take a position of, did I do something wrong here? Is there any chance that I did make a mistake? And we have a hard time doing that because we don't want to feel like we're doing something wrong. But here's the thing, the ability to humbly ask yourself this question gives you the chance to assess whether or not what's happening is true for you or not, and whether there's any chance for you to be able to learn and to grow from this. That is the thing that made the biggest difference in my life, of going from this overly sensitive, overreactive, ticking time bomb to a business owner, to a leader, and to a therapist that can really handle challenges well and Now I get the privilege of helping other people to do the same. Worst case scenario, you ask yourself this question and you realize the person isn't saying anything helpful and you move on. You don't have to take it personally because you regulated yourself, you got curious, and you really asked, does this fit for me? Best case scenario, you have an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's going to make you feel so much better about yourself, about others, about the world, and help you to become more resilient and competent. And that's really what we need. That's where confidence and self love and all of these things that I mentioned in the beginning, that's where that comes from. It's from resilience. Through effort, it's through competence, through doing things over and over again, through emotion regulation and being able to ask yourself these questions that can feel really hard. That's where that real self worth and self confidence comes from. And if I was able to do it being a ticking time bomb the way that I was, I'm I guarantee that you're going to be able to do it too. It feels harder than it is, but once you start doing this and once you start getting into the habit and into the practice of doing it, it really becomes a simple process. And the better you get, the more you can do it in harder situations. And that's where something like therapy really comes in, where you can have someone work one on one with you to be able to help you to do this in real time so that when you're out there in the world, you've already practiced this enough to get to the point where you feel capable doing it. So if this is something that you believe that you need help with, put a message in the comments, send me a DM at Evolve with Bianca. Like I said, I've worked with hundreds of people, I've done thousands of coaching calls, I've helped change my own life, I've changed the lives of other people, and we can get you there too. So reach out, and I look forward to hearing from you.